Okay, so you said you wanted to make some cottages or something for like a Christmas display. So essentially do what I've been doing. So foam core to make your base, and then I use the just your regular terry toweling. So I just used an old towel, just cut it into strips, and then just gluing it on with PVA glue, overlapping to make the nice sort of hedge of thatched roof look. And then you actually cover the whole thing with like PVA glue to sort of, and then with your fingers you smooth out fibers, and then let it dry. And then you've got it, and then I just got some MDF, cut it with a jigsaw, sanded the, used a belt sander to bevel the edges, and then I just glued it on with a hot glue gun. And that's what the stage we're at now. For the windows and the doors, I mean, I'm going to get a bit of balsa wood, stick that in as a door, maybe a bit of card for the window. You could make a window frame. I'm probably just not going to do that. I might maybe use some balsa wood to make some shutters, whatever you want to do. But the next step. Okay, so the foam core, it's a bit of foam sandwiched between two sheets of paper. I know in the US you can actually get foam core where you can actually peel off the paper. This isn't that type. So I actually got a scalpel and I sort of cut out, cut through the first layer of paper, and then I kind of try and peel it off. It's not coming off really, but I try to get some of it off. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so there's a bit coming off. Right, so anyway. So you can see I've cut away there. So this area here is going to be where so this is like a mud brick house or hut. So this is where the render, whether or not it's clay or lime or whatever it is, you can use exactly the same technique for any sort of type of stucco, adobe, wattle and daub type house. So if it's something that's in Europe, it'd be like maybe a wattle and daub. It's covered with lime, any sort of plaster and like that. Essentially, where it's flaked off to expose the brickwork. And then all I do for the brickwork is once you've got the foam, what you can add a bit of texture. Just get some aluminium foil, scrunch it up. You can sort of just push that into it, and just sort of indents a bit of a rough pattern into it. Do it on the other areas, like so. Gives it a bit of a, so when you dry brush it and all that, it'll show up a little bit. Okay, so I've done that. And then for the brickwork, I'm just going to use a biro. You can use a pencil, whatever. And I'm just going to literally draw in the brickwork. Sort of indent it with the biro, like so. It depends on if you can either be uniform or irregular bricks, depending on how you want to do it. These are going to be a bit more irregular. So they're not all going to be the same shape because it's supposed to be mud brick. Do that. I have time. So there you go. Okay, and I'll do a bit more on this side. I'll have to post this in a couple of videos, I think. Doing this. Okay, done some more. So what have I got there? Oh, there's a little bit at the back here, so I better do that. Done sort of brickwork. Okay, so I've got my brickwork here, here, and here. And then that's ready to go. Then I get sealant, and use acrylic sealant. Has to be window sealant because it doesn't shrink. Because it's not, it goes around windows to seal windows, so you don't want it to shrink. It comes in, you can get it different colours. I've actually got a darker shade I might actually use rather than this one. But you can, but the thing, because it's acrylic, you can actually mix it with acrylic paints to make whatever colour you want. And then I will just squeeze some of this out, and I will add just a tiny little bit of water, because you still want it to be a paste, but you don't want it to be runny. But you need a little bit of paste so it's a little bit workable. And then you can actually obviously put the paint in if you want to change the colour. Mix in a bit of sand and some grit from a hobby shops, railway supply, in a hobby shops where they do supplies for model railways. You can buy road ballast and stuff and grit and excuse me, and then mix it in with the acrylic. Like you said, you want it to, I guess you want it to sort of kind of have the consistency of butter, soft butter, so that it won't, so when you apply it, it's not going to run off. And then you'll just apply it to the surface with a spatula or a knife or butter knife or something like that, just to cover it. And obviously you don't cover these bits, so you build up so it looks like essentially the stucco or the plaster or whatever has flaked off. And then when it's all dry, you can then paint it. So I will do I'm going to do all the buildings. There's another little shack, and I've got a schoolhouse or administration building with a nice tin roof. You can see with this light. So I will do the same there. Lots of exposed brick, and then I will cover that with the stuff. Another thing you can actually do is you do the same for the base. So you could actually just put PVA glue and just glue sand on it to give it some texture. But I find that tends to flake off unless you use a real lot of PVA. So I use exactly the same technique. I use this stuff and I put it over the base. I might put a bit more grit in it for the base, just so it looks a bit more dirt-like, and then you just paint that. So that's what I will do tomorrow. I'll do a bunch of the sealant stuff takes, unless it's a hot day or something, you're looking at about a 24 hours. So you'll do it and then come back next day once it's dry. And because it doesn't shrink, it doesn't warp anything. So don't put on too thick. You want enough to obviously cover, so that where I've joined the foam board, you want to cover the this, so you hide that, but you don't want it on too thick, because it then kind of won't look in scale with the house. So anyway, you'll work it out yourself as you're doing it. That's pretty much it for the moment. This will be my African village house